Welcome everybody. So our video for today is going to be fitting this iron beast, this beautiful lump of a Holden V8 in this 5 Series BMW. First things first, let me move this away so I can at least make some mounting brackets to the engine. Let me continue from there. Right, now that I've cut a required piece of cardboard just to make a plan, just tap that, get the hole. There we go, just to mark it so that we can actually, got hole punches but I'm not gonna run now for that, just have a mounting sorted. We can just figure this, figure that. Wrong size bolt for there. I forgot Holden's got one awkward bolt and two normal size bolts in a block normally. Should have marked it. So now, easy way to see where our hole should be on our bracket, on our template, when we cut it out of steel. I wonder, mustn't I leave it square, giving me more meat to work with when I bring it down, or must I make it? Well, I'll design that just now. Right. Get this done. Then I can transfer this cutout to steel, cut it and draw holes. I like to do this before I even attempt to install the engine in the vehicle to see if it fits. This is going flyby at the moment, as usual. There we go. Like you can see. Let's just test with all our bolts. Make sure we've got our cutout right. As you can see, it's quite a difficult, precarious location with the dipstick tube running here. Ah, perfect. Right, it's flat, it's straight. Yes, I can transfer this to steel. Righty then. Quickly use my punch, mark this thing. Should line up. Those are quite big. I should have actually taken tape just to stick this to here, but it's not a train smash. At least I got my template on there. I'll probably get my drill out, quickly drill it and test it to the block and cut it before we continue on anything else. So my old hand drill, because this is how most of the shops do operate. That's on a budget, a tight budget. Let me see if I can get this square as possible. Just let it cool down a bit. I'll tap that just now again. Right, let me cut this quickly with the baby grinder to get my shape I want about. Alright, left is fitting. So now it's right. So we're just gonna drill this directly and cut it exactly like that. Alright, now that I've got to this stage, I've got brackets, etc., etc. Let me lift this thing up and get the front end on trestles at least. So I've got height underneath this thing so I can work underneath it. I'm afraid my jack wasn't gonna cut that. Actually want to see if I can't shove this car over a bit more away from there while we're at it. That's better. Lift it a bit more so I can get my gearbox jack underneath and I can do the fitment so we can get to the next step and making the brackets. I'm planning to make brackets of this to the plates we just made and drilled for this. Just get down here, down and dirty. This should be the most stable place. Just move this a bit out of the way to get underneath that subframe where it's nice and flat. Should be there about. Right. So I have my blocks at the back of the wheels, etc., etc. Yes. Safety first. There we go. Now we can see if this will at least fit inside there as well. First time this engine is going in there. So let's see. Should have slinged it a bit different, but it should go. As the car's lifted a bit, let's get this close by and then maneuver it. I'll lift it a bit more now. Just want to ease it into the car. Because it's a far way down when you're this high up. Right, a little bit up again. All right. Getting caught up on the balancing a bit. Just bring it down a bit. As we're too high now on the back, I knew I was going to have to put a sling actually, yeah. There we go. Snug fit. That should be fine. Let me just get the block or something to fit the front where I want it to sit about. There we go. And now I can use my gearbox jack to pick the gearbox up where I want it about. Now that we've got our iron line, our Holden 308, sitting more or less where it should be, pretty much center and level. .305. Okay, meaning the crank is in the center of the vehicle. Even though it doesn't look 100%, it is center. Let's continue to weld and bolt the brackets. Alright, now that I've got my engine and gearbox in, first things first, I want to bolt a bracket to support the gearbox. This being a solid mounted differential independent, I had to get the drive line straight as possible, with a line in between to measure them out and make sure it's 100% straight. I had the car's original mounting bracket out of the HQ, but it's not going to work as that gearbox is going to end up sitting more flush and flat, so I'm just going to use a piece of lip channel as it's almost similar type deal. I already measured the center of the floor of the car where the bolts come in. So now it's just to mark and cut this thing. Drill holes to make sure it's center, because this is going to be pretty simple, a simple bracket, this one at least. Mark and cut this thing quickly just to size. Then I'll get the bolt holes for the floor underneath the car, and we're gonna bolt the gearbox mounting and this straight to the car. For what it is, this should work 100%. Let me get the center point of this. Then we'll clean it everything later on. Just leave a bit of rust so it's easier for me to mark. I don't feel like looking now for my chalk and stuff. Yeah, 4 to 25. So 4 to 10. 12.5. To 12.5. That should be perfect. This being the cheapest way of doing it as well. That's what the channel is about. Trying not to spend too much money on certain things. There we go. Let's quickly just measure the hole size. So it's about 40. Yes, 40 from side to side, so 20 on each side. Okay, underneath the car it's going to sit like this. I want it a bit more to the front. It's on 150 where our center is 75. I'm going to move it 5 mils for the center there. Right, then them holes. And that should be sufficient. We get my center punch it nicely, and proceed to drill some holes. Alright, let me quickly just mark the holes. I think what I'm gonna do also, I'm gonna drill the 2 holes and put that bracket in so we can see relatively and mark it first before we just slap some holes in that thing. Okay, that's perfect. Where's the next one? There. Surprising how high up the tail shaft has to be to line up perfectly with the rear differential in this vehicle. But we'll wing it, we'll get it there so it doesn't chow universals. There we go. That should be it, and then I'm just gonna oversize the holes. Just mark them. So they're a bit deeper. Then I'll run the drill bit through them. Now I've got my slotted holes, so I can move the gearbox a bit forward or back if I have to. Let me go and fit it in, check the relation to the holes because it's not going to be center or uniform. Then I'll drill the holes, clean this up nicely, later on paint it, and we'll have it there. Now that we've got that and that, let me quickly turn around, mark the other holes and drill them quickly so we can get this BMW front mountings bolted and centered. Also using the edge. Alright, let me just tie all this down. The bolts are actually skew in this car, so I had to actually slot my holes and just tie this down. Then we can get the front of the engine centered in the car and we can make those mountings. That shop. Let me see from the crankshaft pulley to get this piece center. 290. Our iron line beast needs to come this way. Like you can see, I've got 2 blocks of steel underneath it to make up my gap so it doesn't rub on the cross member. 305. 305. Man, what's the odds of that? Okay, let me check. So now I'm just going to build a bracket from here straight down to here and put a gusset into it. Should be pretty simple. Let's take it from there. Get a measurement first. About roughly the size of my bracket. Let's make it 200. Right, 200. I'm thinking of using that hole for a top mount, so I have to have it center and 200 should be there. Just make something double sure. Yep, 200. Alright. Quite a long piece of mounting, eh? I know it's not going to be square in the engine as it's slightly forward to the original BMW mounting, but we'll trim that when we've got it in, basically closely in the car, and then we'll go from there. Don't want to give it too much meat as I've got the mounting bolts to contend with in that area as well. On top here, they're going to be on each side. Let me put this in a vise. Now that I've marked it, I can run it through the vise. just a thought. I didn't cut it all the way through, but there we go. I'll clean it just now and dress it. I'm gonna have to give it a bit of an angle. Just want to see where we're at. I'm gonna quickly put a nut and see when it comes up. Mark it nicely, and then we'll give it a weld after cleaning it. We just test fit it. Okay, I just checked now, left and right is the same distance, everything, so it's perfectly center. I'm just going to quickly make a template before we carry on and clean that one and weld it to the bracket in the motor. Okay, now that I've got my markings, why I did it like that is because I had to work this thing a bit of an angle because the engine's a bit forward to the mounting. Luckily that didn't bite me yet. So let's quickly clean this off and give it a bit of a bend and then tag it to that one so we can make the gusset support for it as well. Right, it's a bit heavy now because it's hot from cleaning. Let's get it to the car, tie it in. Like you can see, like I said, I'm gonna have to bend it here somewhere. At the bottom, should be fine at the bottom. Gonna be right on the edge there. Thinking I must make it a bit shorter and bring it up above the bolts, otherwise it's gonna interfere. I just like to have more for the gusset. Let me shorten it a bit. Before I shorten it, I just want to do this bend because the bend's also going to affect the length. That's it. Just going to take about 10 mils, 15 mils off, sorry. Just going to take about 10 or 15 mils out just to be above the bolts. I would have actually loved it to be the bottom of the bolts for more leverage on the block side so it's more sturdy. But we can't always have 100% what we want, can we? You'll notice I cut it at an angle because of the V of the plate and the V of the block. That's it. I should be able to get to those bolts. Right, let me quickly put the nut, tie it down. Just get it 100% lined up. Right. That should work. And I can just hold the gusset from here to here. Should be perfect like that. Mounting is just gonna give me a bit of hassle, but it has to adapt. I didn't figure them to be the same as BMW. Sometimes the engines are a bit slanted and they sit a bit skewish. Let me quickly tag weld that together. Then we've got something to work with. Okay, let me quickly just weld this thing in place. Let me just see there. It's a bit uncomfortable here. That should be sufficient to hold it together. We take everything out and let's make our stiffener to keep this thing strong and weld this thing properly. It's going to be a bit hot now. Just grab a spanner. It's a bit hot, not gonna lie. It's a bit hot. And when this is in and it's right, and that side's in and right, we should have about 20 millimeters of clearance between the pan and the cross member, not rubbing it through, and the engine is sitting low enough for handling in the body. It should be perfect. That's well. I know one of these are bigger because it being an iron line, being a Holden. It's the back one, I think it's bigger. It's a 5/8, about 16 millimeter in our language. So my stiffener is just gonna run on top there. Should be stronger than that. Should be more than sufficient as well. Should be stronger than super glue, I wanted to say. Right, now that I tacked it together, let me quickly go do a good run there and then make my gusset, shape my gusset so it's underneath the bolt, and we'll take it from there, bats. That should be sufficient for there. Let me reburn this inside here, because inside the car I can't really weld it nicely. So let me just do a cap and penetrate this thing a bit as well. Alright, that's better. Now let me quickly cut this piece just to put it in, and that should be it. Also want to weld on this back side quickly before I do that. This thing should be solid, as it's carrying the whole weight of this engine on the side. Right, that's better. I hope it doesn't interfere too much with that bolt. We'll clean it. Okay, I got a piece of cardboard out so that I can create my gusset. Should be strong enough. Just do that a bit more. Gonna run it in the front of that bolt. So I'm gonna have to bolt it from the back when I do that. And should be sufficient. Bit hot still. It should be perfect. I wonder if I do that, I might as well run it skew like it. Perfect. Just trim small amount. Okay, perfect. We cut my gusset from this and then weld it in here. So this is strong enough to carry the weight of the engine on the one side. And left will be the same as right, as this engine is symmetrical and it's perfectly center at least. Let me clamp this to there and quickly chop that out. Man, why is this thing so far gone? There we go. Should turn out nicely. Now that I've got my markings transferred, let me cut it out. Just secure it and make it safer. Everything is hot. Still need to take that bit off quickly and then polish it clean so that I can weld it to that one and bolt it to the car. Mildly hot. Let me just clean this. So need to shorten that tip a bit. Yeah, just shorten that tip a bit. Yeah, I've got it right way around. I shorten that tip and then burn it. That's better. Let me burn this thing in place. Gonna use it on this outside as I've got a bolt on the inside here. Right, let me turn it around. Nail the inside. When you look over here, I actually do have penetration right through, but I do want to weld to make sure this thing is strong. Like I said, it's carrying the weight of the engine with a lot of knocks on it because it's 8 cylinders. Every time it's a ignition source or so, it should have an effect on the mountings as well. There you go, like you can see inside there. I also got it good. I'll just dress it up, clean it up nicely, and fit it to the vehicle and quickly do the lift. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you. We do like the subscribers and all the comments. Peace out everybody.